This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
And welcome to another edition of Guardian Radio Today with your host, Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, also known as Kahuna Anku Sarah. It is my pleasure to be with you today on a hump day, Wednesday, and I'm grateful for another opportunity to be here with you here on 96.9 Guardian Radio, fresh news, smart talk all day. Of course, the telephone lines today, once they're open, is 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, and of course, in the family of islands, toll-free 242-300-5720. Of course, Guardian Radio text line is powered by BTC, and you can get through to the text line at 422-4796, 422-4796. Of course, standard text rates do apply. We're also streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com, and we are on Cable Bahamas 969 or BTC Flow Channel 612. Today, I want to, we know we're in the silly season, right? The boundaries report is out, and, it's politics time. And my concern is with the electorate, right? What do I mean? We have been so used to doing what is traditional with regard to how we vote. I mean, we have basically a two-party system. And I don't think that's going to change. I think any third party that's going to break into that two-party system is going to have to be around for quite some time. And so that's not what I'm talking about so much today. I want to talk national development towards self-reliance. How does that tie into silly season? Well, these politicians are going to be, they've already started in any event, knocking on your doors, hitting you up through social media, et cetera, and we as the electorate need to be well informed to properly interrogate these politicians, right? And so the conversation today that I would like to have is one of reviewing what we have as a national development plan, and then also look at what could be added, what could be taken away. Excuse me, I have a little cough. Forgive me. But yeah, this idea of a national development plan towards self-reliance. I want to first look at what we call a national development plan at this point, right? What we have now with regard to a national development plan, I'm just pulling it up right now, all right, is something that I feel is, the intentions are good, right? The Bahamas National Development Plan, Vision 2040, focuses on 4 pillars: the economy, governance, social policy, and environment, aiming for economic diversification beyond tourism, poverty reduction, improved governance, enhanced social services, such as health and education, and sustainable environmental management, all guided by long-term, non-political vision and broad public consultation to create a resilient, prosperous, and equitable nation by 2024. It's not too far from now. I mean, yes, this is 2026, but 2040 is going to be anytime when you're talking about nationhood. So there are four pillars: the economy, the governance, social policy, the environment. Now, as these politicians come to get your vote, they're going to want to know what's important to you. Now, of course, you have what's important for you today, right now. You have important for what's important for you this month, this quarter, right? Ultimately, this year, right? And I'm not saying we shouldn't think about what we need today, because we're hurting. All right, we are hurting in many ways, right? However, in the midst of you asking for your roof to get fixed, in the midst of you asking for, a job, whatever the immediate acute need is, let's add this to the reality of what we need to present to our politicians, right? So I read through this, and again, I think it's well intentioned, but I'm not convinced that this particular plan that we have here is really taking us towards self-reliance, right? National self-reliance means a country's ability to meet its own essential needs, right? Our own food, our own water, our own energy, our own security, our own governance, using its own resources and capabilities, fostering independence from external aid, and building strong internal foundations for sustainable growth rather than complete isolation. So I'm not talking about complete isolation. I'm not saying we won't ever need America, that we won't ever need Britain, right? We will always need them. At least in this, by 2040, we'll still need them. Let me say it that way, right? So that's not what we're talking about. But we have the ability to do some things in this country that can make us a bit more self-reliant, all right? And so I want to talk about four main things, right, that I want to put on the table. I want us to talk about it and see if we can incorporate this into the conversation that we're going to have with the politicians. Because there's a story today in the business section I want to touch on as well. All right. Mr. Kwesi Thompson, he talked about the government's policies have kept the cost of living high. So we're going to get to that, right? But let's look at some things that I think can assist us. So the first point is make the best use of every talent, right? And some of these things we've already started to do, by the way. But I think we need to contextualize it. Make the best use of every talent. So the human capital development. Now, this requires us to invest heavily in technical and vocational education. Again, something that we've started to do. The arts, right? Junkanoo, music, something that we're doing. And entrepreneurship, focusing specifically on empowering Bahamians to build their own businesses and industries rather than relying solely on foreign investment. Now, a lot of that I think we've started to do. We're working towards that, and we're on our way, right? The second thing, so that's make the best use of every talent. The second thing, tap the potential of every piece of land, sustainable resource management, all right? So that means implementing land reform and development policies that encourage sustainable agriculture ecotourism. So my good brother at Prescott Smith and others, were part of the Bahamas Natural Resources Foundation, things that they have been trying to implement, the Fly Fishing Association, right? Implement land reform and development policies that encourage sustainable agriculture, ecotourism, and renewable energy projects, solar and wind. Now, I see we've started to move in that direction. Saw a story recently where we're moving in that direction, right? So some of these things we've already started to do, right? And that's across all the islands. This ensures food security and reduced dependence on external resources, making farmers economically independent individuals. Making farmers economically independent individuals. This is a part of what we need for a national plan. If your farmers are not economically independent, then you don't really have food security, right? I just saw, I'll give you a quote out of this article by Chester Robards, all right? Government's policies have kept the cost of living too high. And this is a quote by Mr. Fred Mitchell, all right? Mitchell said during a press briefing in Grand Bahama on Wednesday, December 31st, there's a problem with the cost of food, and this is imported. There's a problem with the cost of food, and this is imported into the country. We do not produce any food. He added, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is entirely dependent on the United States of America. That's it, plain and simple. So whatever the cost of food is, it's being brought here. So this is the reality. You could call it the mindset, or you could call it the reality of what we're being faced with, right? How do we make our farmers economically, independent individuals, right? So that's the second prong. Tap the potential of every piece of land, all right? So farming is just one aspect, using solar farms, wind farms. My good brother John Boswick, he always posting wonderful ideas that are being utilized across the world and how we can get sustainable energy into the country. So we have the minds, we have the people with the ideas, but do we have the will? Are we going to put pressure on these politicians who come in the bag for our vote? Or we just want our roof fixed? Or we just want a job? The third thing, ensure everything serves its purpose. So a strategic efficiency and productivity, all right? So we got to evaluate the existing infrastructure, institutions and policies to ensure they align with the goal of national development and local empowerment. Eliminate inefficiencies and redirect resources to productive sectors that provide gainful employment and reduce reliance on external aid or fluctuating global markets. Now, this aspect of ensuring that everything serves its purpose ties right into what Mr. Thompson is saying about policies have kept the cost of living high. So I'm going to pause now and read, some of this article, again by Chester Robards, senior business reporter, all right, here at the Nassau Guardian. The government's policies have kept the cost of living high for Bahamians over the past 4 years. Now, see, they politicking now. Mr. Kwesi, you're politicking because these policies ain't been in place just for 4 years. All right, so I into that. All right, let's talk national development. All right, but he's on his job. He politicking, right? For the past 4 years, the Free National Movement's FNM Member of Parliament for East Grand Bahama, Kwesi Thompson, declared in a statement released yesterday. The statement was released to counter Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Fred Mitchell's remarks, released in a statement on Monday that blamed the country's high cost of living on inflation imported from the U.S. Thompson argues in his statement that while inflation rates have risen and fallen, prices have remained high. So this is a very good point, right? We keep hearing about this inflation, but the prices are really fluctuating. It just seems like our pay is staying at one place, and the cost of living is going up, right? What they, Bahamians, should not accept is the government using global pressures as a shield while ignoring the direct impact of its own decisions on the cost of living, said Thompson. While inflation rates may rise or fall year to year, the reality for Bahamian families is that prices remain permanently higher. Once costs increase, they do not come back down. Government policy determines whether those higher prices are eased or compounded. Over the past 4 years, PLP decisions, this is a quote again from Mr. Kwesi Thompson, over the past 4 years, PLP decisions have consistently added pressure, making everyday life more expensive for Bahamian households. Mitchell said during a press briefing in Grand Bahama on Wednesday, and I just read that, where he says we're basically dependent on the United States. And I'll read it again for those who may have missed it. Mitchell said during a press briefing in Grand Bahama on Wednesday, December 31st, there's a problem with the cost of food, and this is imported into the country. We do not produce any food. Why? Why are we so confident in saying that? Huh? He added, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is entirely dependent on the United States of America. Why are we so confident in saying that? Now, I ain't saying if it's a reality, it's a reality. But, like, we can't stay there. We can't just, talking about food, right? That's it, plain and simple. No, that's not it, plain and simple. No, that's not it, plain and simple. Okay? We got to plan this country better than just making sure PLP or F&M is the government. We got a plan, or COI, okay? Or DNA, or whatever party coming up. All right? You got to go beyond that. All right? Thompson argued that while external forces do affect the overall cost of living, the government's control over policy, taxes, fees, energy policy, housing rules, and the cost of doing business matters just as much. And you can read more of this in The Guardian, right? So, of course, they politicking, right? And so this idea of ensuring everything serves its purpose is to eliminate inefficiencies and redirect resources. Now, one of the problems we have in this country is we have a status quo whereby there are people, there are institutions, if you will, there are monopolies that benefit off of the inefficiencies in this country. I talk about the bus system all the time. We don't have a bus system, right? We got jitney drivers hustling, and they'll take you where you want to go while they do that. That's what we call the bus system, right? We have monopolies with regard to power, telecommunications, okay? And these are the things, and let me just read another section of some of the research I was doing last night. Let me read the fourth point first before I go on to that. So ensure everything serves its purpose. Then the fourth thing we must do is open markets for the goods. So once we gotta produce, we gotta be able to produce. Okay. If we have entrepreneurs, the only market cannot be in the Bahamas. All right, that is ridiculous. And I know there are people who are venturing out, but there gotta be some policies to make it even easier for us as we are producing, as we are creating, as we are manufacturing, to enter some markets outside of the Bahamas. Okay, there's only so much people here. You can only sell so much things in this one little market. All right. So the fourth thing is open markets for their goods. All right. Diversify the economy beyond tourism. This is something that the National Development Plan already has. So that's a good thing. Right. Diversify the economy beyond tourism and financial services. Focus on developing domestic industries such as agro-processing. So BAIC is doing a great job at getting people involved with doing just that. And again, they're trying to get people to have their wares and their products sold outside of the country. So people are trying to do it, right? But we need to be clear when we give our vote to whoever we give our vote to, that there are policies in place to assist in a more meaningful way, right? Manufacturing and cultural exports, right? So focus on developing domestic industries such as agro-processing, manufacturing, and cultural exports. The government should create policies that facilitate access to international markets for Bahamian-made products, fostering economic independence and job creation within the country. Now, again, these are some of the things that I understand are happening, right? I don't know what came out of that trip to Dubai, but I think that was a part of what that trip was supposed to be about, right? So if you have some definitive information on how we benefited from that trip, you could text or call in, right? So this reality of policy inefficiencies, right? How do we tackle? And I see you call out. We can get to the calls in just a second. I just want to get through this and set the table, and then we could jump, right? To tackle the policy inefficiencies, the suggestion is through digitization. So e-procurement, the SAN dollar. We have the SAN dollar. Are we utilizing the SAN dollar as efficiently as we could? So going back to that third point of ensure everything serves its purpose, right? As well as to ensure everything serves its purpose. The SAN dollar. Are we tapping into that the best way we can? There's another article here in the business section. All right, and I didn't know these were going to be in here. I just smiled when I saw them. Elliot Kelly, right? He talks about, this is the business section from today in the Nassau Guardian on page B2, digital infrastructure and the future capacity of the Bahamas, right? And he talks about the digital infrastructure is the backbone of national development. I just smile when I saw it. I say, wow, look at the Most High. Right? Given our geography, which amplifies the cost of distance and fragmentation, the quality, resilience, and coherence of our digital systems will increasingly determine our economic competitiveness, institutional efficiency, and social equity. All right? Thank you, my brother. Right? So this conversation is happening. I didn't know these articles would be in the paper today, right? But these were some of the things that I looked up and I agreed with regard to tackling some policy inefficiencies, e-procurement, SAN dollar, legislative reform, right? Procurement Act, Credit Reporting Act, Freedom of Information. So again, some of these things, it's kind of happening, but it ain't happening. Like the Freedom of Information, there's no teeth there. Right? We don't really have that in place, right? Streamlining processes, so ease of doing business initiatives, a single window system. I mean, you just go to one page, do what you got to do, pay whatever, and be done, right? To boost transparency. We always traveling in a fog in this country, which is why the Freedom of Information Act is so important, right? Competition, and so to boost transparency, competition, and economic activity, though delays in full implementation of some anti-corruption laws remain a challenge, all right? So with regard to these key strategies and initiatives, right, the digital transformation, the e-procurement, the SAN dollar, right, central bank's digital currency aims to create efficiencies in tax collection and disbursements. The e-procurement launched e-procurement platform and a system to improve transparency in government procurement, which is one of the things I know the opposition was complaining about. Technology in courts. The Chief Justice advocates for greater use of technology and to address judicial inefficiencies. We know what to do. It's just doing it, right? Legislative and regulatory reforms, right? Again, they talk about this Public Procurement Act, updated, aims to increase fairness and openness in government contracts. The Credit Reporting Act 2018, the Freedom of Information Act, which needs to really come on stream. The Commercial Enterprises Bill, right? Designed to support new investments and economic activity, right? Streamlining the business process, ease of doing business, all right? So we know what to do, right? But here's the thing I want to touch on before I go to the phone line. Monopolies. The over-reliance on monopolies and highly concentrated market structures in essential services like energy, PPL, telecommunications, and transport, right, BTC, the jitney drivers, keeps costs high and hinders innovation in the Bahamas. Let me say that again. The over-reliance on monopolies and high concentrated market structures in essential services like energy, telecommunications, and transport keep costs high and hinders innovation in the Bahamas. So I agree with Mr. Kwesi Thompson when he say, don't just blame external forces. Don't hide behind that. Don't do that. Because you have the ability to fix some things in this country, but unfortunately, friends, families, and lovers. Friends, families, and lovers. All right? So, for example, the cost of electricity in the Bahamas averages 4 times higher than in the United States, primarily due to an antiquated generation system and dependence on fossil fuels. And some of this information you can find in the investment reports, right? The United States, they do investment reports, and they give their investors the reality of our economic situation. So I ain't just relying on our information. I'm looking around to see what other people are saying about us, right? But 4 times higher than the United States because of an antiquated generation system and dependence on fossil fuels. So whoever's selling fossil fuels winning. So if the bus system ain't working, it means you got to drive a car, which means you're buying fuel, right? If the energy system ain't working the way it's supposed to, and you selling fossil fuel, you winning. So again, are we going to develop the nation, or are we going to develop the bank accounts of some people in this country? There's to stifle innovation and productivity. Excuse me. Market concentration reduces the incentive for firms to become more efficient or innovative. Bahamian firms are less productive and less likely to innovate compared to the Caribbean average. You don't have no competition, you can keep doing what you're doing. People complaining ain't enough. You need disruptors in the economy where people could go spend their money someplace else, and that's how you'll fix up, right? There are barriers to entry. Regulatory bottlenecks and entrenched structural issues make it difficult for new firms, particularly small and medium-sized enterprises, to enter and thrive in the market. So if you ain't been in a particular market long enough, the hoops that they can make you jump through, and in many instances, just you paying your light bill is part of why so many businesses fail in the first 5 years or less. The economic vulnerability, the high cost of doing business, partly driven by these monopolies, discourages foreign investment and limits economic diversification, leaving the economy vulnerable to external shocks. So that's the United States looking out for their investments, but we too can learn from this information, right? So the Bahamas government, we've acknowledged these structural issues, and we're committed to the reform, is what is being said. The efforts include reviewing reports on the cost of living and addressing the lack of competition in key areas, implementing reforms for state-owned enterprises such as Bahamas Power and Light and Water and Sewage Corporation to reduce government subsidies and improve efficiency, digitizing government services, and promoting SMEs to boost domestic productivity and create a more competitive economy. And then, of course, there's IRCA, the Utilities Regulation and Competition Authority, has published competition guidelines for the electronic communications and electricity sectors to promote fair competition and prevent anti-competitive practices. I don't know, how well it's working, but matter of fact, it's not working. Let me just be honest with you. All right. I got more to share, but let's go to the text line, and then we can jump on the phone line for a second texter, 1 second. This texter says, I want the government to obtain rights to make money on YouTube. Okay, I had Sawyer Boy here a couple of weeks ago. And, excuse me, let me take a sip of water. Sawyer Boy had, I think in 90 days, 3 million hits. And that was on Facebook. That wasn't us on YouTube. When they did the research, he could have gotten anywhere for every million views, you could get anywhere from $1,000 to $7,000. So on the high end, he could have had 20 grand plus in his pocket. But we living in a bubble. We making excuses, right? And so I agree with you, Dexter, right? This Dexter says, I'll tell you everything you know about the digital. I'll tell you everything you know about the digital infrastructure. Cash and go, cash and go no longer accepts debit card payments. You must pay bills in cash. So the oppressive fees, and they just had a big thing in the United States about this, and they was going after the credit card cartel, and they are. I think the amount of debts is in the trillions of dollars, and then the interest fee on that, the interest is like 30% on that, right? This Jackson says, do you realize that Focal and Pike have been allowed by the Davis administration to essentially monopolize the sun? Wow. You must go through them by law for solar-powered access. Wow. And God knows what rate they're going to charge for using the sun. We got to look more into that. Because that's wickedness. That's wickedness. All right, let's go to the phone lines and we go back to the text. Call you live.
What are you doing, man?
I'm great, man. Thanks for calling.
Great show as usual, man. On the first point with the food and the monopoly, everything is about special interests.
Mm-hmm.
These guys get their campaign money from these guys. So they ain't gonna change that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Two, on the YouTube, getting paid by that,
mm-hmm.
the government only trying to find a way to tax that first. Because anything the local Bahamian do to make money,
it's sad.
They always find a way to tax it. Let me give you a prime example.
Mm-hmm.
You know how long Airbnb was going on in this country?
That's right.
In the back of the gates?
Mm-hmm. No, yep.
But they never taxed that. But soon as the small man get into that, they had to find a way to get some tax from that, though. They don't want us to get up,
No, they can't.
But what I really call that to say is, I want to know if Guardian Radio or all these radio stations were instructed not to talk about the way we register now. Let me give you why I say that.
No, I never got any
instruction. I went to register.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
2 people in the front of me could not state where they live. Okay?
Wow.
They had to get someone to come or call. When I moved, I had to prove with Bill.
That's right.
So what needs to happen is these radio stations and these televisions need to jump all over this so that we can get some clarity.
Yeah.
And what they need to do is have an all-day show so that these MPs and whoever in charge are forced to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because this is nonsense. This is nonsense. That bugged the hell out of me.
Yeah. That doesn't make sense.
In this country.
It doesn't make sense. I saw the report.
Where this country gone to?
But that's why we're talking national development, because these are the things. I'm happy you brought up the point.
It's sad, brother.
Yeah. But remember at the beginning of the show, what I told you my biggest concern was, I don't know if you heard the beginning of the show. I said my biggest concern is the electorate.
And that same man who they put in charge, he just sit there just for supper. Rather than standing for country. And then we want to know why these things happen in this country.
Right.
because everybody turning a blind eye.
Yeah, but
So what's happening in this country? All because of the dollar bill. And then what happened? When the children and the grandchildren come up, they realize this is in the country where their forefathers grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Mark my word, my brother. Y'all have a good day.
Yes, indeed. The caller makes a very, very important point. I saw the report. I saw C.A. Nuri posting it. And he also said, man, I don't like this. You understand? I'm just trying to pull up some things right now. But again, these are the things that we need to constantly keep at the forefront whenever we're talking to the policymakers. Because I haven't heard a good explanation as to why you don't have to present a bill now to say where you live. You just have to sign something to say you're honorable citizen, et cetera, et cetera. And we're not honorable citizens in many instances. Let's just be honest. We surviving. All right? Talking national development today. I see the phone lines are lit up. I can see the texts coming through. We're going to run to this break and come right back after this. Keep it locked.
Put more money back in your pocket with the Fidelity Debt Consolidation Loan. Why pay more when you can pay less? Reduce your monthly debt payments down to one low, easy payment. Apply for a Fidelity Debt Consolidation Loan today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Girl, you see how Cora eye look funny, all black up yesterday?
But she say she bump into a wall when she's running after the churn them.
Yeah, but last Saturday, you see her arm was all black and blue, right?
So what you saying? You think something wrong between her and Jack?
I ain't sure, but you know Jack is a jealous man. I hear him and Cora last Friday. I hear him say he hear Cora have eyes for Junior.
Now you know that ain't true. Cora is a good woman, does mind her business, take care of them churn, and go to church every Sunday. So what you think we should do?
I think we should report Jack, you know. Cora don't say nothing, but silence hides violence, and we don't want to line up in the cemetery.
Not me. I ain't getting in nobody business. Then Jack come after me, and I land up next to Cora.
No, man, we could call a text Crime Stopper. And remember, we can even get some grocery money for our tip.
Remind me again, how does this work?
We can call them in Miami at 328-TIPS or 328-8477. Or when we in the island, call toll-free at 300-TIPS or 300-8477. And if you don't have no minutes, use the Crack Crime Bahamas app and we could text them. And the messages get on mix up before it leave your phone so nobody can know what you saying.
So what we waiting on then? Let's go earn some grocery money.
You try to rest, but roll with the best. For all your printing needs, there ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers. For window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it. Just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
And we're back here on Guardian Radio today with your host, Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Anius III, also known as Calhoun Anku Sarah, talking national development. A texter talked about the solar-powered regulations. I just wanted to just read something quickly before we go back to the text and the phone lines. So solar energy in 2026, solar energy in the Bahamas is governed by the Electricity Act of 2024, which provides the Utilities Regulation and Competition Authority, ERCA, with expanded remit to license system operators and manage the transition to renewable energy. The government's national energy policy aims for 30% renewable energy by 2030 a target supported by major infrastructure upgrades, including Focal and Pike Corporation. Now, as far as I know, Focal is sell gas. But anyway, solar regulations and grid connection, system capacity limits. They talk about licensing, import duties, net billing. Under the SSRG program, customers can sell excess electricity back to Bahamas Power and Light at a rate determined by ERCA. So we you could offset your bill, right? And then it gives some more information on Focal and Pike. But interesting. That's something we definitely can talk about more because I do believe there are people who sit in these offices who've never run a business, and they sit down and just try to figure out how they can tax people who trying to run a business, who trying to get above these bills. Staxi says, hey, Uncle, you mentioned the public transportation system. This administration promised an organized, functional, and efficient public transportation system. Almost 5 years later, no public transportation system. Again, monopolies. Okay? They jitney drivers hustling, and they'll take you where they're going if they're going that way. That's the system right now. Ain't no bus system in this country. Right? I know what I'm talking about. Let's run back to the phone lines. Call you live.
Well, good afternoon.
My brother, how you doing, man? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, man.
Let's look at this calmly.
Mm-hmm.
53 years independent, two political parties.
Right.
If they wanted you to have a new hospital, it would have been built decades ago.
Amen.
If you don't believe in your citizens' health, please don't knock on my door because I know how you feel about me. Now, we're looking at the 53 years, 5 MPs, and one position called a minister of Grand Bahama with a nice outfit, fancy car, and all the trimmings, like macaroni, potato salad, coleslaw. The minister of Grand Bahama. So I'm sure after 53 years and all of that governance and representation, Freeport would have been fixed, but you can't get a lousy hotel and airport done.
My Lord.
Let's look at solar and energy. Been talking about it from 1998 with Mike Smith. Remember him?
Yep.
If they wanted you to have it on every rooftop, you would have had it by now.
Yep.
So today in 2026, we're talking about putting a liquid natural gas, clean fuel burning down there by the fish fry, Arawaki, to power the lovely cruise ships. In 2014, along with John Boswick and myself at the Hilton, in a conference put on by the Chamber of Commerce, we spoke to the same LNG barge, but making more power than New Providence would need. It could be hooked up in short order, as they're going to do for the cruise ships. Why wouldn't they put a bigger one there?
Right.
That would service the whole island and get rid of these pesky ones that break down at Clifton Pier.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you put another one in Coral Harbor by the Defense Force so you would have twice the energy the country needs and redundancy in case one failed? The lights never go off in Spanish Wells or Eleuthera. Why? They have redundancy, and they have more power than they need. So let me wrap up. If they wanted you to have something different after 53 years, you would have had it. And I challenge you, I dare you to vote for the same two people that have given you what you've gotten, and you know all the problems, school traffic, potholes. We could talk forever. If you don't want to try something different, I'm here this year after election to do what James Catlin said, laugh at we self. You have a very good day, and remember, when you go to vote, this is what they wanted you to have 50 years later. Could you imagine? You and your significant other, you never take them out to Valentine. In 53 years now, you say you're going to take them out to Valentine.
My Lord.
I dare to see what would happen. Anyway, let's fix the bombers, man. Good show.
Yeah, man. Appreciate your call. I know it ain't going to take 53 years. It may take 53 minutes. It'll be gone. Let's get another text, and then we go back to the phone line. Good afternoon, God. This is not God. That's my good brother, though. This is uncool. Kudos to your aspirations, but asking politicians to formulate a national development plan without a recall system is useless. They will say whatever to get elected, then do what they want after they're locked in for 5 years. Prime example, you may like Darren Pickstock, but after elections, no constituency meeting, no movement on suggested community initiatives, nothing. And unless it directly benefits the government of the day, that's what they do with the promises they make. Nothing. All right, Mr. Pickstock, the people say you ain't living up to what you say you was going to do. You need to get on that. Good day, Pastor. Sorry, they texting in some code. All right, so all y'all need is your little thing. I got you. Let's run back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. Call you live.
Hey, Anku, how are you?
I'm great, man. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I was gone from home a bit too long, but I still don't understand. Why do you need to take a bill to register to vote? I get it. Okay, to prove that that's where you live.
Right.
But maybe they should put addresses on your driver's license. You know, when I signed up for my, in the U.S., where I signed up for my voter's registration card in the parking lot of Publix.
Right.
Okay? So the only thing that I can think of is that they have a database with everyone's name on there. So, and that's probably where the biometric, because the U.S. voter's registration card is a little piece of card stock, and it has, where you can scan the barcode that's on there, and it will pull up that person who that card was registered to.
Right.
So honestly, I don't see an issue with it because the biometric card apparently, and I don't know, supposedly would all go to one database, and that name at that address which you gave them will show up.
So maybe
at that particular polling division. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't know.
Maybe it's just a problem with the rollout. You know, I think
right.
If they explain these things,
no education.
Yeah,
I agree.
You got to roll it out, better than that. But I do understand what you're saying, and if that is what is supposed to happen, it makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because anywhere you go, they'll ask you, ma'am, are you registered to vote? No. Would you like to? Sure. Here's my driver's license. You register, and they send it to you in the mail. So maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
But okay. Great show today, though.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Well, this is what we were talking about earlier about the policy inefficiencies being tackled through digitization, right? So that's another example of how digitization can assist. Let's run back to the phone lines. Call you live.
Uncle, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, my brother.
Uncle, my brother. And let me just send a shot across over to Graham. Hey, I haven't heard your voice for quite a while. Hey, welcome back to the airwaves. But I'm going to sum up everything in just 2 words. Organized chaos.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Organized chaos. Do you know how many times people over the years have been on these airwaves given not just the problems that we're going through, but also given a possible solution to solve the problem?
That's right.
Do you know how much money this country has borrowed from international organizations, spent, where we don't even know how the money is being spent? There's no true accountability for the money. But yet, there's no true progression in this country per se that trickles down to the everyday person on the street. Do you know how many persons we owe and we have to pay back? But yet there's no one held accountable, no one is put before the courts, no one is jailed, and so on and so forth. So what we see today is no surprise because we've been seeing it, but we as a people have been accepting it. And my last point, I would like to point out the introduction of VAT. What was the true purpose why they said the VAT was introduced? To pay down the national debt, correct?
Yep.
So tell me today, in comparison to where the debt was when we introduce VAT. Tell me where the VAT is, where the national debt is today, and why it hasn't been paid down. When you are able to answer that, then you'll understand what is meant by organized chaos. They want this exactly the reality. Because certain people, families, and organizations is benefiting from the chaos that is organized. That's all I'm going to say, okay?
Yes,
the Bahamian people are suffering, and we are always enemies because we keep on putting the perpetrators back in power that is imposing the nonsense upon us. That's all I have to say. Thanks for taking my call.
And so, I have people, I have a good friend of mine who he got married, he left, right, to talk about the brain drain, right? And he's one of the people who has sat down in rooms to suggest some of these same solutions, especially with regard to energy, right? Since the introduction of value-added tax in January of 2015, the national debt of the Bahamas has significantly increased. In absolute terms, rising from approximately $6.248 billion at the end of 2014 to roughly $12.385 billion at the end of September 2025. This represents an increase of over $6 billion. While VAT has become one of the main sources of government revenue, the funds collected were largely used to increase government spending rather than primarily reduce the national debt, which has led to a continued rise in debt levels. There you have it. Let's go back to the text, and then we go back to the phone lines. You can't make this stuff up. The national plans, words sound good. We know it won't reach the hood. Marcus Garvey, let's work and pray. UNIA self-reliance. Now, interestingly enough, Texter, that's something I was bringing up in the next hour, because this is actually coming from Marcus Garvey. I just didn't say nothing at first. The self-reliance aspect of it, it's all Marcus, it's all Garveyism, right? But unfortunately, when you say that, we programmed to turn off and don't listen. So I didn't say it, but I'm glad you brought it up. Getting rid of poverty to consciousness mind can be interpreted ambiguously, Uncle. Yep. Yes, indeed. We got about 2 more minutes. Let's take this last call before the break. Caller, you are live.
Good day, sir.
Good day. How you doing, man?
Great, man. I just want to say something. The Prime Minister trying to cheat this election by changing the boundary up and down the way he wanted, and so it could work in his favor. But if he really realized what's going on in this country, people tired of him, so they can vote out all of those other good MPs. You get a lot of good MPs, and all because they hate the same Prime Minister. They hate him. But I don't like him for one. He is going to cost all of them they see.
Wow. That's what
that's just how bad it is. The man bringing in a bunch of illegal immigrants in this country for no reason, and Bahamian people sitting down without a job. And he wants us to swallow what he is doing, him and Mr. Fred Mitchell. Now, how he would feel now when he loses this election and cause all those good MPs them lose all they seek just because of him.
Well, that's what happened. The last
one
election.
More thing, sir. The sad thing about it, they have no say in what the Prime Minister say or do. Them MPs are just sitting ducks. They can't make no decision.
That's
and
the Constitution.
The sad thing about it, he's going to cost all of them. Every one of them is going to lose their seat because of him, his lousiness. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, indeed. The Constitution's commission members include the House Speaker, Patricia DeVoe, the Deputy Prime Minister, Chester Cooper, Tall Pines MP, Dr. Michael Darville, Justice Gregory Hilton, and St. Barnabas MP, Shannon Dawn Cartwright. So the Prime Minister ain't on this Boundaries Commission, but I hear your point. You don't like him. I got you, and that's your right. Let's run to the break here on Guardian Radio today. We're going to run to the news. We're going to pay some bills, and we get back to some of the texts and the calls. Thank you so much for being here on 96.9 Guardian Radio. I am your host, Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Enos III, also known as Kahunan Kusara. Back after this.
This is Guardian Radio. your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM.
And we're back here on Guardian Radio today with your host, Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Enius III, also known as Kahunan Kusara. Let's run back to the text line. This text says, there's a number on your voter's card. There's a number on the ballot. Both numbers are written in a book. And you say, you don't know how I voted. I remember Gladstone, McEwen, boy, he talked about that years ago. That's a whole nother show. Uncle, the reason we can't use an address on driver's license because many illegals are buying illegal, fraudulent driver's licenses and they still live in the shanty towns or do not live where they state that they live. That caller has an agenda. Anyway. Good day, Dr. Enius. And thanks for speaking truth to power. I truly appreciate your harsh reality of how jokey leaders operate our country. There's nothing meaningful that this government has done since election. They're fully on senior citizens' upliftment, with all blocking the knowledge of young people leading our country and truly giving youth an improvement as a surplus. Keep up the great work. Yeah, meaningful. They're doing stuff for the youth, but meaningful. Yeah. Good afternoon, sir. Many of these government workers and leaders have no idea how to run a business or even a petty shop. But they find every way to tax and to disrespect our people by their bad attitudes and bad service. Also giving bad service to our senior citizens. We are the people who pays them bosses. Amen. One last text, and then we go back to the phone lines. Why did they take the loan from China to build a hospital when the UK was offering the same loan and conditions? Well, I don't know if that's the case, but that's a great question. Yeah, I'd have to look into that. All the VAT did was increase government spending. That's what we just talked about. And more money in their pockets. And then last text on the issue of the solar. Unless I misunderstand, the caveat in the Electricity Act is the maximum energy capacity allowable for consumer solar power systems. Family Islands, 10 kilowatt hours. Grand Bahamas, 150 kilowatt hours. Weird that the Family Island is so low. That is weird. I don't see the limit for New Providence in the summary. According to Google, average monthly energy use is between 1,000 and 2,000 kilowatt hours. Yeah, well, you can't just imprison the people when it comes to power, man. My Lord. All right, let's run back to the phone lines. Call you live.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, sir.
Yes, sir.
I just turned on your show a moment ago, and I heard a caller call in, and he talked about how he hates the Prime Minister.
Yep.
And, you know, what is so troubling is that we as a country, you know, we are we are really interconnected, and we don't know necessarily who is our family members.
True.
Because we are such a small nation.
Indeed.
And we are connected to persons, I mean, as far as being relatives. But the point is, though, what got my attention is this hatred that the caller said. And, you know, what I am so concerned about, to say that you hate someone, and then when you say that you pray to God, how could God hear someone who has hatred in their heart for their fellow man? I don't see how you could really hate people. You might have a difference of opinion. It doesn't matter where people come from. But to say that you hate someone is very, very troubling. And what is so unfortunate is that we don't know if this person is actually related to us. And it doesn't have to be related. The person doesn't have to be related to us. We were made in the image and likeness of God. And how could you hate God's creation?
Mm-hmm.
Some people love their pets sometimes more than they love people. But to say that you hate someone is very, very serious.
Mm-hmm.
It's no wonder that the world is in the state that it's in because of hatred.
Mm-hmm.
And that's rather, rather unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I call your show, sir.
Well,
because it's,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. You could be on the other side of the political divide. It really does not matter. But how could I hate someone? I don't, I'm just saying.
I hear you, caller. I hear you.
I'm just saying. And to come out publicly and say, I hate this person, that's serious.
Right.
It doesn't matter which, like I say, where the person stands. It doesn't matter where you're from.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot really see how I could come out publicly and say I hate someone. That's a serious thing.
Well, caller, before you go, I want to read a Bible verse to you, right?
Yeah,
tell me what you think about this. Malachi chapter 1, verses 2 to 3.
Okay.
I have loved you, said the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, said the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau. And I laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. So the Lord hated Esau, right? I'm not disagreeing with you, All I'm saying is, if we were made in the image and likeness of God, and God love and God hate, I don't think the caller is saying.
Yeah, I think what he actually meant in a case like that, maybe his actions.
Yeah. And you know what I love about this country?
Not necessarily the person
We have peaceful elections in this country, and I don't think the caller means the prime minister any harm.
No, I
right?
don't say he means any
No,
harm.
I'm just saying that out loud because, you could hate. There are many people, see what he was saying about what he thinks is going to happen this election is exactly what happened in the last election. That is true. The hate for the former prime minister.
Last election, I mean, in terms of.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
The result of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And all of it. Of course, we hate the actions of some people, but.
So he could have said it better, is what you're saying. He could have said it better.
Yeah.
I got you.
And I heard what he said, but see, let me just say this. When it comes to saying that we are going to vote them out, I can only speak for myself because I only have one vote.
Exactly.
I don't know how other people are going to vote, even persons in my house.
Right.
When they might go and say, I voted one way.
But you don't know.
I don't know that.
Yeah.
I cannot speak for the masses. I can only speak for myself, how I voted. I cannot say we're going to get rid of them or we're going to get a new government or that type of thing. I could only speak for myself.
Yeah.
Because it's a secret ballot. And people will say they have voted one way.
But some people question that.
Let me just say this while I have you on the.
Go ahead.
While I'm on this, I worked elections.
Yeah.
And as a presiding officer, and people have gone into the booth, and they would have spent up to 5 minutes. You shouldn't take 5 minutes to make up your mind, right? But at the end of the day, on some of those ballots, nothing was marked.
Wow.
They did not vote for anyone.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Which means they probably got in there and had to change of heart. Say, I ain't voting for no one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they spent all of that time in the booth and did not mark an X for anyone. And others, the agents would have been sitting there, and if that person was wearing paraphernalia, they would think,
right.
This person voted for us. Not necessarily.
Right.
Don't let the paraphernalia fool you.
Yeah.
Because people will say one thing
and do something
and
else.
do another. And I'll share this last thing.
Yeah.
Before I go, there was a particular MP, and he bought all sorts of things for this particular voter. He bought him a lawnmower and all of that in his constituency and whatever else this fella said he needed. But guess what? At the end of the day, he went around and saw this fella dress up in his opponent's shirt.
Wow.
And he said, man, how could you do that to me?
But he might have voted for him.
You know what? I just couldn't vote for you.
Wow.
I supported the other fella.
And I get a lawnmower.
right, but he got a lawnmower out of the deal. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate the
Take
call,
care.
man. Yeah. I feel both callers, right? People are truly frustrated, and they want a way to vent, right? The frustration was there during the last election as well, and this is why, the text who talked about the recall system, like that's what elections have become, recall systems. We've been flip-flopping now for several elections. And as we develop the country, right, if we don't have a proper national development plan, then there's no real continuity, right? I want to share a story with you all with regard to one of the superpowers, China, and how they dealt with. They had a whole 100 years of misery, right? 1849 to 1949. Excuse me. I'm going to share that in a bit, but let me just take this call. Call you live.
Hello?
How you doing, man?
Hey, good afternoon, Uncle.
Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hey, buddy, just come a minute. Let me turn on this radio.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Uncle. You was talking about the gentleman stuff. Those two gentlemen who was back and forth, right? I'm glad you really clarified that situation when it relates to hatred, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because while some people may take it out of proportion or think it's something negatively, it's just a form of feelings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if the Almighty would created us, could say He hate,
right?
Who was us to say we can't hate,
right?
Right? But I know the fellow didn't mean that.
No, I don't feel the
inside a detrimental type of way, right?
No.
It was more like for me, I hate all the last prime ministers we had, right? Because and it ain't nothing like for them being it's personal, right? It's just the prime ministership is what I hate, right? Because I feel they could have done more. The causes do not even have hate no close to their names, right? We could have been saying, "I love the last 5 prime ministers or the last 2," because but we just can't say that about them, right? So I understand what the gentleman was trying to get across, but at the end of the day, we have to speak in truth in order to get things out, man. In them days of trying to be sympathetic for our leaders, what ain't showing us no sympathy, man. Them days over.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.
I appreciate it. This text says, Mr. Enius, I am a retired, disabled senior citizen. Every government office I go to, the chairman is upstairs on the 3rd floor with no elevator. How can I see him? Boy, that's a great question. I don't know, can the chairman come down? Have you asked for the chairman to come down? Because that shouldn't be. And those buildings I know supposed to be accessible to, the handicap. So yeah, that shouldn't be. That shouldn't be. Happy New Year. Hi, Dr. Enius. Happy New Year to you and your family. Mr. Enius, when you go to vote, you give them your voter's card, and they take the number of your voter's card and put it on your voting ballot paper, so they know who you vote for. But that's what I was telling the last caller, right? And I've heard this conversation since I was a child, right? And even the victimization that goes on in this country, I think is evidence of that, right? Pastor, I heard a caller made a statement saying that the F&M candidate were giving out money, but the sad thing about that is the caller is, I don't think they said F&M, they just said a candidate, right? But the sad thing about that is the caller is physically challenged, so for him to come on the radio and say that is disingenuous. If I were him, I would have refrained from calling. But we don't know who calling. He given a story that could happen
Good afternoon, Uncle. How you doing, man?
I'm great, man. Good afternoon.
Yeah, question, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Question, right? These, as I understand, these people, I'll say, people with these fraudulent passports, you think they'd be able to vote?
Well, I've heard a lot of talk about these fraudulent passports, but as I'm listening to the conversation, I'm hearing that the passports themselves, the document is not fraudulent. There are no fake passports around. Now, there may be people who aren't supposed to have the passports. That may be an issue, which I have not confirmed personally.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, well, that's we on the same train track, right? But what I'm saying now is, with these people, you can't speak a word of English. Would that saying anything?
Yeah, you shouldn't. If you can't speak English, you shouldn't be voting.
But how do they get the passport? How would they get the passport?
That I don't know. I mean, at this point, you don't even need to really show much proof to get a voter's card. So, you know, that's alarming. And I mean, a passport is one thing, but a voter's card is something else. You understand?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying now. Because I mean, if you get the passport, you automatically get the voter's card, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, these new systems that have been put in place, it's a sieve. I mean, like you just go there, you're able to sign to say that what you're saying is true. Now they say if they find out you're lying, it's a crime. You know, so it's like you could take the risk, but if you already took a risk to sneak into a country or get fraudulent documents, that's a small risk. So, you know, I think, like I was saying to a previous caller, the rollout of these biometric cards need to be done in a more efficient way with regard to educating the public on exactly how they work. And I'm not saying they haven't said that. I'm just saying, I'm just saying it's a pressing matter that we need to see all over social media and, you know, come to the radio station, talk about it, let people ask questions. And I'm sure there's plans to do that. But at this point, you know, people have questions, you know.
Okay, I'll let you go now. Can I say one nice thing to Mr. Philip Brave Day with the Prime Minister of the Bahamas?
Sure.
Mr. Prime Minister, if you listen to me, you suck.
Oh, my
Have
Lord.
a good day.
You know, one thing about a democracy, a constitutional democracy, your opinion is your opinion, right? And how you feel about a person and how you express how you feel about a person, right? That's on you. I'm not saying there aren't consequences for free speech. What I would always caution people to do is to just be mindful of the fact that one of the previous callers said, I mean, we live in a small country. I think if there are things that you truly have an issue with, just identify what your real issue is. You know, the fact that you just don't like a person, you know, that happens too. That happens too. But I think if we're going to develop, if we're going to actually make progress, you got to say, listen, man, Mr. Prime Minister, here's what I don't like. And explain yourself and give him an opportunity to rebut, or give his office an opportunity to rebut. But again, people have their feelings. Let's run back to the phone lines. Caller, you live.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I heard people talking about the voter's card number written on the back of the. It's actually written on the back of the counterfoil that the regular ballot, and there's a counterfoil that is left behind.
Okay.
And the reason why that voter's card number is written there, in the event it goes to election court.
Okay.
And what happens, how would I know that it's Dr. Enius who has the election court? I could only identify you through that voter's card number. And so, so the purpose for it, nothing unsavory or nothing out of the ordinary.
But could it be?
It has to go to elections court.
But could it be used to potentially identify a person's vote?
No, because what happens is that no one will take the time to go through all of those ballots after, let us say, the process is over, because those ballots are destroyed, I think, about 6 months later. Because what could you do about it if someone has the way they have voted?
Well, you could do a lot. You could decide if they get in a contract or not getting a contract.
No.
A job.
It's those are locked away at parliamentary, and they destroy them after 6 months. It has nothing to do. That's the only purpose that serves, is if it has to go to election court. And I would only do to call Dr. Enius because I recognize him by
the number,
voter's card number.
So it's possible but not probable, is what you're saying.
You mean to
identify how
find
somebody
out who voted for what?
Yeah.
To go through that process, that's so arduous, and it would take such a long time. It doesn't even make sense going through it.
Right.
And so that's the only purpose of it. Nothing to really be suspicious of. But when they go to elections court, and I'm sure you're familiar with it, they can call in certain voters in the elections court, and they identify them by the number.
Right.
Because in the counterfoil tin, you have a similar you have the same thing that you have as your voter's card. It's really right there, so they could easily identify. It's for identification purpose, but not to do anything untoward. Because could you imagine if that was the case? The elections could be fixed. We have democratic elections, and when there's a change, the transfer is done so easily without violence.
And I'm very grateful for that. Yes. But thank you for that clarity. I think people are concerned that it is possible. Like you say, it's highly unlikely.
Because, like I said, I have worked it because, and one of the things. Okay, let me say it. The first time I worked as a presiding officer, one of the mistakes I had made was I did not write the voter number at the back of the counterfoil. And I quickly told my returning officer at the end of the process, you know what? I forgot to write the voter's card number. But he said, well, if it does not have to go to elections court, it'll be safe. And thank God that didn't have to go to elections court.
Yeah.
But there's nothing unusual about it. It's just in the event it has to go to elections court. That's the only reason why they write that number in the back of the counterfoil.
Right.
Not on the ballot that they vote on.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you for that clarity. I appreciate the call. Voter observer missions from the Organization of American States and the Commonwealth have consistently praised the peaceful nature of Bahamian elections while criticizing the technical vulnerabilities of the of the electoral process. Here are the key technical critiques. Observers have repeatedly urged the government to modernize the following areas. The manual process. Registration remains entirely paper-based and susceptible to human error. That's what one caller was just asking about. Voter identification. Current ID cards are laminated paper, which observers note can be easily lost, duplicated, or forged. The register inaccuracies. Errors in voter information have previously led to confusion at polling stations and in some instances denied eligible citizens the right to vote. Modernization needs. Reports from the 2012, 2017, and 2021 specifically call for biometric voter identification and electronic registration systems. That's what's happening right now. Recent concerns, late 2025 and 2026, as the Bahamas approaches the general election expected in fall of 2026, the local observers and political leaders have highlighted specific issues. The advanced polling inefficiencies. Observers agree that certain facilities used for advanced polling in late 2025 were inadequate, leading to slow processing times, talking about the by-election, late openings, and voter frustration. The impartiality allegations. Opposition leaders expressed concern over the alleged interference by political party members and questioned the impartiality of returning officers during the 2025 Golden Isles by-election. The ballot security. Concerns were raised regarding the process of securing ballots after advanced polls closed, and the registration forms in the early 2026 political parties began reacting to new voter registration rules, as we're talking about, aimed at addressing long-standing observer critiques. So those are some of the critiques. Let's run back to the phone lines. Call you live.
Uncle, I had to call back. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I am grateful that you did go through reading that entire critique given by international observers.
Mm-hmm.
I listened quite intently to the last caller.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something, my brother, and I'm going to say this quite clearly. Putting numbers behind persons, when you go to cast your vote, and there's a number to the card that they attach to your name. So even to say that it is practically impossible to identify how a person voted, that goes out the window. Because in the hands of a good person who has no ill intention, that's all fine and good.
Right.
But we know everybody don't have clean hands and clean hearts.
Right.
And if they wanted to know how you voted, they can find out how you voted. Okay? We have heard many allegations of persons who claim that things have happened to them after they would have voted a certain way. And that is a reality here. We're not going to run from it. There's nothing here that's 100% foolproof.
Right.
So to make that statement, no. I believe that every voter can be traced. People can know how you voted. Because the number that's marked against your name when you present yourself and the card is presented, the number is matched to your name, so they can know. My last point here, Uncle. You talk about the destruction of the voters' cards afterwards. I know that we are now in the digital age.
Yeah.
And there's just some systems that we know of that is at the disposal of government. And then there are some that we are not privy to. But that doesn't mean that they don't exist. You'll be surprised to know how some things happen in this country and how people get your information without you even knowing. You know? So I don't dismiss anything.
Right.
Like I said, good hearts is one thing. People with evil intentions and they have bad minds, it's a totally different thing. And we've seen it time and time in this country. I'm not dismissing any potential in this country as it pertains to how we do things here. We are antiquated with a lot of things, and like I said in one of my earlier statements, organized chaos. These systems are deliberately left this way because in one way, shape, or form, look at the other day they talk about persons have all kind of blank ballots in their possession. Why would you have them?
Right.
So we cannot be lulled to sleep into thinking that people don't. Everybody have good intentions. Elections can be stolen when the people are not paying attention. That's all I'm going to say on this. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This doctor says, Doc, it is so sad that our country has turned into a country of beggars. People singing for their supper. I think the level of hatred is when leaders don't like their own hospitals and go elsewhere, my Lord. Trust the system if you cook. Do you eat your own food? Tell the leaders, trust your wrong or right decisions and live in it. We in a sad state, and like an auction, we sold to the highest bidder. Boy, actually, you hit it on the head. You know what I'm saying? If you love the country, love the infrastructure. Point blank. Uncle, I see you're saying the process to acquire the passport may be fraudulent, but the document is very real. Now, that's exactly what I said. How are these people able to sign anything if they can't speak English or much less can't read? I don't know. I know the passports are real, but how you may get it is another story. Sir, all government offices where old people need to go for service should be on the lowest level and be on a first floor. Who is considering this? Also, there are offices with big lawns and no place to park. They need to fix that. Well, we've been making them aware of it because the taxer did say the person they're trying to get to is on the third floor. But I mean, you should be able to call them down. The colonial days are over for me. So, bro, you telling that I have lived and loved my oppressors. This is pathetic. Let's run back to the phone lines. Call you live.
Hey, Happy New Year, Uncle.
Happy New Year, man.
Yeah, God bless, man.
For sure.
Listen, I was listening to the part where they was talking about the hating thing, right? And then you was reference where God said he loved Jacob but hated Esau.
Yeah.
Right? I want to give a little clarity on that right there.
Sure.
Yes, God said he hated Esau, but he didn't hate Esau because with a heart of hatred. He hated Esau because of the things Esau was probably doing, so to say, because, God loved everybody. Mm-hmm. So God hate is more like a love.
Tough love.
Yeah, God love.
Okay.
But when people say they hate persons with a passion, that's in a negatively. God hate us be in a positively towards us. Because remember, he said he so loved the world. So that means he loved all of us. Never said he hate us. He said he loved us. I just wanted to share that there. And I don't know if you was listening to Chicago Lang Show.
I catch it when I can, but I don't always catch it. Yeah.
I'm talking about this voter card. Voter card. Chicago Lang said that nowhere under the sun you could forge the voter's card.
Because of the biometric aspect of it.
And I talking about this one now, the one that one where he say you cannot do nothing negative about that by saying that they cheat or do some kind of dirty work, that the voter's card count didn't go right. He said it's impossible to do that.
Okay.
Because of how they set it up.
Right.
And like that caller was saying, what was talking about the counterfoil. Chicago Lang said the same thing. That counterfoil is for when they have any kind of problem where they got to go to court. That's what the counterfoil is for. So they'll identify whoever the person is supposed to vote or vote.
But it is possible, though, to figure out. But it is possible to figure out how somebody voted.
No. He said you can't tell who vote. You could never say who vote. The only person who could say who vote is the person who vote and the Lord Jesus Christ.
Okay.
That's what Chicago Lang said.
All right.
Yeah, he said no.
I appreciate
MP, none of them could never say who vote for them.
Right. But that's what I was trying to get out of the caller who called. I said, is it possible? He basically was saying it's improbable. Oh man, nobody can go through all that. But I wasn't asking that. I was asking, is it possible? But I appreciate Mr. Lang's perspective.
Lang, he said it's impossible.
Okay.
Because no MP, none of them could say who vote for them or who ain't vote for them. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, but he said that every election time coming up because people stay questioning him on that. and
Yes.
just let them know.
Yes.
You know.
I appreciate the
But
call.
at the end of the day, like that caller was saying,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, if it was like that, then people will know how to deal with people.
Well, that's what
Like
happened.
he say how the fella get swing with all them
The lawnmower and thing.
lawnmower and all them there. So the fella know that he was going to vote. He was, well, as a matter of fact, he didn't start to vote yet. He just seen him in the
But he
thing.
still could have voted for him. That was my point. He might have
Yeah,
been.
yeah.
He could have been making.
He still could have voted.
He still could have voted for him.
Right, exactly.
So
yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, man. Appreciate the
Okay,
call.
bro.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Call you live.
Yes, how you doing, Uncle C. Allen Johnson?
C. Allen Johnson. Digitization, my brother.
Yes, let me just say on a couple of points. I want to come to the voting. Let me start with that, right? Come back to the other 2 points I want to make. It's not impossible; it's improbable.
That's my point.
Right. What happens is that let's say you stack the deck, because we are a manual situation. So once you contest a particular election or a point, the thing about an election court, we just can't contest an election for the sake of contesting. You have to challenge the persons before they vote or while they were voting, and then if the results proves that it's too close or something, that actually those grouping of people that was challenged is so close enough, then you would go to check the validity of them voting.
Right.
First, what you will do is just simply look at the counterfoil for that particular constituency in that polling station, is to pull them out. But the thing about it is those are sealed in a box, right? 200,000 or whatever amount of people vote is sealed in sealed and put away.
Right.
And the only two people has authorization to check that is an election court and the Supreme Court.
Okay.
And if it isn't done within 180 days, those ballots are to be destroyed. So to go manually and say, let me see, first I would have to get the counterfoil, the voter registration roll, the counterfoil that was assigned to me, and then they would have to go through that ballot box to find that matching ballot.
So that's why it's improbable, right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You know, somebody will kind of notice you sitting there with the boxes in the storage room looking through, and they say, what you looking for? I'm just trying to see, you know, I hear Seattle's in Central Grand Bahama polling station number 7, so I need to go find that and go flip through that and find those numbers and see if it align. And I have to have, mind you, I need to have the registry, the code, you know, where they put the foil.
Right.
I'll have to have that to match it at the same time I'm looking through the supplies.
Right. Right.
So essentially, we do have ballot secrecy, but we do have traceable ballots. But there's some protections that's put in there, and the concept of our manualization has provided a form of protection. Now, when you now come to the so-called digitization, here's the problem you have. If you start with dirty data, you would have accelerated dirty data. That's the problem we have. We, you know, just for instance, you know, you have a copy of a copy of a copy, right? And then you scan that, right? And then you say you have the original.
Yeah, you don't.
So what you have is a dirty, foggy document that has been digitized, that if you were to try to use optical character recognition, won't even do it. That's dirty data. And so essentially what we are doing is we have dirty silos, and we are wanting to go through the process of transferring back and forth. My concern about the information that's being collected is a government's ability to do micro-targeting using the data information that they have. And so the fact is that when we talk about digitization, you don't start with where you are. You start with a framework for which you will enter information or digitize. You don't start by digitizing the very garbage that you have.
Right.
You ever hear, the expression garbage in, garbage out?
Yep.
That's what digitization does. It accelerates it. It amplifies it.
Right.
And so the problem is we have been digitized in broken systems. And so this is why when I tell people all the time, we can have freedom of information. I said, yeah, you would never have freedom of information until digitization, digitalization, datamation, and the rest of these things happen. It's like 5 or 6 steps that has to go through to get purity of data. And so it just, we cry for these things, right? And this is where the concept, where respectfully, the current commissioner, parliamentary commissioner, even our prime minister, suffers from fetus principle. This especially in our technology minister that's in charge of technology advising Mr. Davis. And fetus principle is where in a hierarchy where people get promoted based on success of their current role into a new position. And that's when they reach the level of their incompetence. So you say your mechanic is so good with car, you make him in charge of the Ministry of Works.
Right.
And he can't build a house. So he's now being promoted to the level of his incompetence. And so you could have leaders that has gotten to the point. So, yes, Mr. Brave Davis is a super nice guy. I know the man personally. But for the role he's in, right, he's proving that he's been promoted to his incompetence, and that is only because of the team that he has around him, because the CEO depends on the team and advisors he pays for. And so the problem is that, so that means his incompetence comes from his inability to select a team to advise him in the direction that he's supposed to go. Not personal. Okay? You could be the best lawyer there is, and a lousy prime minister. You could be the best doctor there is, and a lousy prime minister.
Right.
Okay? So that, but in those things, so when we talk about digitization, one of the things that we have to get right, and digitization, something I've been talking about for 20 years, energy. I told you guys for years, I said, energy is currency that drives, it's the banking structure that drives the currency, which is data.
I got you.
And so the fact is that when we pay for energy, we can never compete in a digital economy. Never.
Wow. Thank you so much, my brother. We got to run to a break. Thank you all for the text, the calls. We got this last break here on Guardian Radio today. Keep it locked back after this.
Step inside the John Baptiste Jazz Club at Baha Mar, where the rhythm of the islands of the Bahamas meets the soul of New Orleans. Every night, the lights dim, the music swells, and the air fills with that unmistakable energy, the kind that makes you close your eyes and just feel. Savor signature cocktails, curated small plates, and live performances from world-class musicians, all in an intimate, artfully designed space where every seat has a story. Whether it's a romantic night out or a spontaneous evening with friends, this is where you want to be. The John Baptiste Jazz Club, only at Baha Mar. Reserve your table now at bahamar.com/jazz club or through the Baha Mar app, because every evening plays its own tune.
You try to rest, but roll with the best. For all your printing needs, there ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers, for window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it. Just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
And we're back here on Guardian Radio today with your host, Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, also known as Kahun Anku Sarab. We got about 10 minutes left in the show. I want to just throw one more thing into the pot here, right? China, world power, right? They had a period of what is called China's self-strengthening movement, all right? And you can look it up, but this was during, they had a whole 100 years of humiliation or misery, if you will, where they just they were signing treaties that didn't really benefit them, and they lost the opium wars, etc. But they found a way to turn their country around, utilizing a self-strengthening movement, 1861 to 1895. The key goals, and this is when we talk about nation building, they had selective modernization. So they adopted Western military technology, the firearms, the steamships, and the industrial methods, the factories, the telegraph, etc. That was back in the 1800s. But they also, and this is where I want us to focus on, we won't have time to do it today, they had what's called the Chinese learning for essence, the Western learning for practical use. So there was a two-pronged approach. They call it T-Young. One was Chinese learning for essence, T, and the Western learning for practical use, Young. All right? So they maintained their Confucian ethics as the base while using Western science for practical strength. That Confucian essence, of course, works for them. They're Chinese, right? We have a 90% plus group of people who are of African descent, all right? This is where our true religious identity comes in. This is where our Garveyism and Atonism and different things like that would come into play in a national development plan, all right? Then their key initiatives, they established arsenals, shipyards, modern schools, and China's first modern navy, right? But they used that two-pronged system of keeping and learning the essence of who they truly are while learning the Western learning for practical use. I just want to throw that into the conversation. We'll have it another time because we don't have much time left. But let's go back to the phone lines. Call you live.
Yeah, what's going on, Doc?
Hey, my brother. Everything good?
Yeah, I think C. Allen Johnson explained it the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
But looking at it on the election court side, if you could remember, I can't remember what year it is because you're getting old now, but the Elizabeth State by-election with Dr. Dwayne Sands
right,
and Ryan Pender, that went to election court.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember in that it was a Jamaican fella who they found out that he didn't vote. He ain't supposed to vote in that constituency, or he voted in two constituencies, or he had fraudulent documents or something like that, and then his ballot was spoiled. Because you remember, Ryan Pender only won by 2 votes or so like that. But they had to go, in the election court, they had to go over some votes, and some was disqualified, but that's the reason why, like C. Allen say, do like reasons like that. If we go to the election court and they find out with this Jamaican fella, he did vote so he do something. And it disqualified a couple ballots. But you have that little computer box in the front of you. You can punch it up and probably look at the history.
Yeah.
All right, boss.
Yeah. Ryan Pender only won by 3 votes in that 2010 election court. But the reality is, I see where there are changes being made. The biometrics is needed if we're going to listen to the critiques of the observers. We had a caller who talked about how easy it is to do it in the United States. Of course, they got 300 million people or whatever, so they can't be using no laminated cards, right? But the 2010 Elizabeth by-election was a high-stakes political contest in the Bahamas that was ultimately decided by the election court after a razor-thin margin, all right? The by-election was triggered in January 2010 by the surprise resignation of Malcolm Adley, the incumbent member of parliament for the PLP, Ryan Pender, a tax attorney and political newcomer representing the opposition, Dr. Dwayne Sands, a prominent surgeon representing the governing Free National Movement. Other candidates to the race also included candidates from the National Development Party, NDP, the Bahamas Democratic Movement, BDM, and the Workers' Party. the election court challenged because the outcome turned on 5 disputed protest votes. The colored ballots cast by voters whose names were not on the regular register due to clerical errors. Ryan Pinder filed a petition with the election court. The PLP argued that these voters should not be disenfranchised by administrative errors made by the parliamentary commissioner. The ruling, March 2010, the election court, comprised of Justice Anita Allen, John Isaacs, ruled that all 5 disputed votes were valid and had been cast for Ryan Pinder. The result, with the inclusion of these votes, Ryan Pinder was declared the duly elected member of parliament for Elizabeth with a final margin of 3 votes, 1,504 to 1,501. So that's what the record show, my brother. I appreciate all of the comments. You know, no, we get on hate today. Let me just say something about hate and leadership. A lot of the hate that people display towards leadership is really misplaced anger. And this is why people hesitate to go into leadership, because once you make yourself available for leadership, people dump all their hate and all their negativity on you as if you're their savior. And that's not what leaders are supposed to be. They are not our saviors. Now, unfortunately, in many administrations, we see what's being done with the VAT money, right? They spending it and instead of actually paying down the debt, right? Leaders abuse their power. And this is what frustrates people. You understand? And so the hate in many instances is misplaced. But I will continue to say, as I started the show, my greatest concern is with the electorate of this country, because we cannot expect the leaders to participate in behavioral patterns that we ourselves are not willing to standardize. So if we slack and if we mediocre, the leaders can pay close attention to that and they can take advantage of it. If we tighten up our game, they're going to have to tighten up their game. It starts with us. It starts and ends with the electorate. We could complain with leadership all we want. You could don't like the prime minister all you want. You could love the prime minister all you want. At the end of the day, when we talk about building a country, we got to build it beyond politics. And we got to figure out how to become less dependent on external forces. We have to learn how to build infrastructure on the family islands where we could grow our own foods. We can energize the country without fossil fuels and be able to take the burden. We are one of the most expensive countries in the world because of inefficiencies and greed and policy, poor policy. And you got career politicians who have benefited off of it for many administrations on both sides, and it's sickening. But it starts with us, the electorate. My name is Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III. This has been Guardian Radio Today.